Hi there, how you doing from Area 51 Raceway? Welcome to the channel and welcome to Hangar 1 as well. So today I'm going to do a video on uh, just prepping the body for painting. I know I get questions. I got a personal, message to Facebook Messenger to the Area 51 website, and he was asking how I did this and that. So I figured I'll do I'll show you what I do. Now, again, I always say my way is not the correct way. Everybody does things differently. But so far, my methods worked out well. As you could see, that car in the picture came out real good. So I'm pretty happy with that. There's some little minor things that I think I made mistakes on. Now I know what to look for. So I'm going to do a video on making a 124th body from start to finish with painting and decaling and so forth. So I'll try and do this all in one video in short takes, maybe in parts. I don't know. It just depends how the process goes. So this will be a span over a few days because I have to work tomorrow and I'm on a 3-day work week. And so after that, I can come back. And plus, there's another video I'll be doing, which will be real interesting. So I hope you stay tuned to the channel. So let us head over to the workbench so I could explain everything that I'm going to start doing and point out a couple of things that I noticed with sometimes when people send cars into the Showdown, what I notice, and just to kind of give you tips to prepare for. All right, so let's head over to the workbench. Okay, welcome to the workbench, and right here we have the Shoe World car, which I just completed, and the clear is fantastic that I use from SMS. See, you could rub your hand on it; it's smooth and it's an excellent finish. It's like a RoboSlot finish. So, and again, there's a few things I did wrong with this. Like right here, there's a little bubbling, and that's because I didn't smooth the decal enough when it added it on, and some of it didn't conform. I did use the the decal softener, but I'm going to go with a different type from Tamiya and try that out, which I've ordered. But the decals went on really easily. Mike's Decals is where I got these from. They laid on nicely. They weren't cheap decals. It really was a really enjoyable process. I did use the Bob's Goldsmith's CA glue for the windows, and this is the glue that doesn't fog up your windows, and it did work well. The only pain in the ass part is that I got some on my fingers, and that's what you got to be careful, because then it starts crusting when you touch it on accident. So there's one little spot there and maybe one little spot here, but on the inside. But for the most part, it is what it is. And then down here, when I was gluing these pads, it tore a little decal, and I put a little green paint there. So a little smudge. We'll call it battle damage, or race damage, so it makes the car look authentic. But otherwise, didn't come out too bad, and you can see here how this decal kind of shrank as well, and that's what the stuff's designed to do. But overall, I'm very happy with the appearance of the car, and it came out really well. So we're going to talk about doing another car, and I'm going to do a video on it. So our next car we're going to be doing will be a 124th scale car, and you can see the difference in size between these two. This looks a lot bigger. So I already have a chassis built for it, and we're just going to concentrate on the modeling part. And this is a part also that you can get yourself an H&R chassis and not have to worry about building a chassis. So you have one done, say per se, and then you could just work on the body, the modeling part, which is, it's all about the modeling, as we explained before. So this car will be the number 3 Goodrich, Dale Earnhardt one, number 3. This is a Monte Carlo. I believe this is a 2004 car, or it could be earlier. So it's within the rules, and this is what we're going to go with because I have the decals and everything for it. And we're going to go with that. So the first thing I do, which varies from model to model, this car in particular here, I had to glue the wing, glue the hood, and then glue this back piece as well that goes on here, which sometimes models are really funny. They're kind of a pain in the ass with how they break them down. I guess it's the process, how they mold them, what's cheaper. With this car, it was easy because the wing is already molded into this, so I don't have to worry about it reinforcing it. The only thing I had to do was the front bumper and the hood, which is cool. And the one thing you want to do is, excuse me, when you put it together, you want to use some cement like this. And this is real thin cement, and what it does is that it bonds the part instantly because it melts the plastic. And this is the very first thing you want to do when you start getting this together and positioning it, and that's what I've done. After you've done that, this is really critically important. Reinforcing your car, especially being a slot car, is super important. And what I mean by that is that if I was to leave this with that and then paint it, this was to sustain an impact, it would blow this front bumper off and the hood. Be pretty cool for on camera if you see it for effect, but if you don't really want to do that, you know, have that happen, because what will happen is it'll rip your decals and then do all kinds of damage. You want to reinforce it with epoxy. I use the, you know, the Bob Smith's 5-minute resin epoxy. You could use 15-minute you want. I have the 15, the 30. I like the 5 because it works really quick. I pre-mix it, and then you can see right here what I've done is I have reinforced it all over here on the inside of the hood, and then reinforced it around the bumper, because that's where, if it ever takes a strike, which typically it will because it's the front of the car, you run into something, you're going to get nailed. This is what I did. And this will dry in within probably about 20 minutes. Will be really good. You can see I could move this around and it's all secure, and I did this about an hour ago. So now you've done that, what we're going to do first is we're going to wash this, because now this is dry. It's not tacky anymore. We're going to wash the body, and then we are going to not sand it, because this is fine the way it is. What I want to do is I want to wash this, put it on the stand, and then I'm going to use some primer filler. I use the Rust-Oleum 2-in-1 primer filler, and I'll show you a can of that stuff when we go to, you know, spray it outside. I'm not going to spray it on a paint booth because it's, you know, it is primer, and I'm going to sand this later on anyway when it dries and all that. So we're going to go over it down. We're going to clean this up in the sink, and we're going to mount it onto the stand, which I have right here. And let me grab it. As you can see, the Shoe World car was on there, and these are nice stands, or you can use a bottle or whatnot, and that'll work just fine. Give you a, you know, nice way to paint the car. Now, resin bodies is a different process when we paint them, so we're not going to get into resin body. We're just talking about hard model plastic, and this is a little bit more, how would you say, a little bit more not, I wouldn't say easier, it's just it's a little bit easier than the resin. The resin, you got to do one little step before you paint it, and that's scuffing it really well. But since this is a hard plastic bottle, we're just going to wash it, and then we're going to spray a Rust-Oleum primer on it, and go from there. All right, here we are in my kitchen sink. My wife doesn't mind. Let me take that off. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use regular old dish soap. And of course, this is a clean model, so I'll use the sponge that we use for, you know, or a sponge, and just give it a little clean. That's what you're going to do. Give the body a little love and wash, and clean it up. That's all we're doing. And what we're going to do is rinse it. Rinse it really good. And then what I do, if you have a dehydrator, you can let this air dry, but I have a dehydrator, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in the dehydrator once I get the water a little hot here. So this way I got hot water to get all the residue of the soap, if there's any on there. As you can see, it's pretty clean. And all you're doing is just giving it a quick washing. You're not doing anything fancy. Nothing, you know, overbearing, as you would say, or technical. And then I'm going to do is just keep rinsing this off so the water's gotten hot. And that's pretty much it. Then what I'm going to do is place it on the stand wet. Tuck it up in there. And then I'm going to take this to my dehydrator, which I have a dehydrator in the garage. And I'm going to put it in a dehydrator and let the water, you know, get absorbed. Obviously, you know, dissipate from the dehydrator, because that's what it does. It removes water. Let's head over there right now. All right, I'm here with my dehydrator, and if you don't have a dehydrator, don't worry, just let it air dry. Take a little longer, no big deal. I'm going to turn it on. My temp, I usually with my dehydrator, I'll put 113. You don't have to worry about it. You never want to put a resin model in a dehydrator, because it'll distort the model or distort the body, and it'll ruin it. Trust me, early on when I first started doing this, I found out the hard way. Then what I'll do is obviously 10 hours. I'm going to go 10 hours with that. Then what I'll do is I'll put this in here and shut the lid, or close the lid, and let it, do its thing. I'll give it like 20 minutes, half an hour. And then after that, I'm going to use this Rust-Oleum 2-in-1 fillable sandable primer. It's automotive primer. It works well on resin bodies and on plastic bodies as well. I've always used this. It's fairly common at, O'Reilly's, AutoZone, wherever you go to. or you could go on Amazon and get it. But I will primer the body with this, and then after I prime it is when I'll, wet sand it. So we'll let the dehydrator do its job, and we'll get back to it when it's done. All right, here I am. I'm just putting a coat on this. I didn't want to be having to scream over the over the fan that is sucking all the paint through. You see, I have the door open, so there's a little ventilation tube going out there. One thing to note that this booth's a teeny bit dirty, as you can see that I need to put plastic on it because it's not really covered well. I need to put a filter on there. I'm just doing this because it's primer. I've been lazy to get it done. I need to kind of really reassess my spray paint booth and kind of give it, layered with plastic and put a filter back there. But I'm putting a coat on here, just making sure I get good coverage and covering the whole model completely. So this way, you have, all the nooks and crannies done, especially in the bottom rocker there. As you see, make sure you get the very bottom of the rocker, because a lot of times that gets missed, and then it doesn't get any coverage. So I'm just going over it. And again, I'm not going super heavy. I'm just trying to cover everything I can, because if I see a little bit of black, I'll do it, hit it. But the primer goes on real easy, as long as you sit there and consistently hold one spot and spray, it's going to run, obviously. So you want to do sweeping motions. And I'm just taking a look at the body, make sure it's good. It's primed. I'm going over the top of it, and use gloves and use a respirator if you do this. This way you don't breathe any of this stuff in. That's a safety first thing. And again, I'm pulling it out, just looking at it, just in the light and stuff, and spraying the area there, and just making sure it's covered. And then I'll do another coat after this, which I won't do on camera, after I put it in the dehydrator and let it sit there for about 20 minutes. So I'll come over here and you'll see me have the dehydrator ready. I'll place it in there and let it dry, and make sure that everything is dried up real well. So I'll leave it in there again, like I said, about 30 minutes, and should be good to go to do some wet sanding. Okay, we're got it back out of the dehydrator. I left it in there for 30 minutes, and it looks like we got a pretty good lay of primer all over the car. So I'm happy with it. And I did like 2 coats. I didn't do the second coat on camera, but it looks good. And then what I'm going to do is let this sit for 24 hours, which I recommend. I want to make sure the primer really adheres to the plastic. If you start messing with it like a few hours later, I really think you shouldn't. My recommendation is wait another day, and then you could sand it, wet sand it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to paint it with the SMS black, and that'll be the base coat. And then we'll color sand it. And after after the paint's been sitting for, again, I would let it sit for another 24 hours after we do the base coat, and we'll go over that. But here's where we're at so far. So wait another 24 hours before we apply the base coat.
You are go.